So, let's talk about Easter. For Christians, it's one of the holiest days of the year. For pretty much everyone else, it's about a giant bunny who delivers chocolate eggs. Kind of strange when you put it like that, isn't it? Well, today, we're going to unravel the absolutely fascinating and surprising story of how all these traditions got tangled together.
Right? I mean, bunnies, candy, how on earth did the resurrection of Jesus get connected to any of that? That's the big mystery we're solving today. So get ready, because this story involves pagan goddesses, medieval fasting, German folklore, and even the Queen of England.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. Where does the name Easter even come from? Because as you're about to see, the name itself is our first big clue to the holiday's really fascinating blended roots.
And right away, there's this really interesting split. So in English and German, our word Easter probably comes from Eostre. She was a pagan goddess of spring and new life. But then you look at most other languages, and their word is Pascha or Pax or something similar. And that comes directly from Pesach, the Hebrew word for Passover, tying it straight to the biblical story. So two totally different origins for the very same holiday name.
So the name itself is a real mix. But what about the holiday's most famous symbol? Yeah, let's crack into the history of the egg.
So, long before Christianity, eggs were already a huge deal, a powerful symbol of new life and rebirth, all tied to the coming of spring. What early Christians did was kind of genius, really. They took this symbol people already knew and loved and gave it a new, powerful meaning. The hard shell? That was the tomb of Jesus. And the chick breaking out? That was his resurrection. It's a perfect metaphor. The egg's star power really skyrocketed in the Middle Ages. Why? Because for the 40 days of Lent leading up to Easter, you weren't allowed to eat them at all. So just imagine, after weeks of fasting, finally getting to eat eggs on Easter Sunday was a huge deal. It made them the centerpiece of the celebration.
This timeline really shows the egg's incredible journey. It starts as an ancient pagan symbol, gets adopted as a Christian one, becomes this super special forbidden food, and then by 1290, it was literally a gift fit for a king.
And get this, that number, 450? In the year 1290, King Edward I of England bought 450 eggs specifically to have them decorated with gold leaf and given out as royal Easter gifts. We are definitely not talking about your average boiled eggs here.
Okay, so we've got the egg as a central symbol. That makes sense, but where does the egg hunt come from? And what about the bunny? Well, for that part of the story, we've got to go to Germany.
Yep, that's right. This tradition that feels so classic to many of us didn't start in Britain or America. The whole idea of hiding eggs for kids to find was a German custom that would, eventually, take over the world.
And with the hunt came its main character, the Osterhase, or the Easter hare. The first time we see him mentioned in writing is way back in 1682. The story was that this magical hare would sort of judge if kids were good or bad, and then he'd deliver baskets of colorful eggs to the ones who made the cut. Sound familiar?
Now, as for the hunt itself, there are a couple of really cool theories on where it started. One idea is that the Protestant reformer Martin Luther actually organized them. He'd have men hide eggs for women and children to find. But there's a more symbolic take, too, that the act of searching for the eggs is a nod to the women who went to search for Jesus and found his tomb was empty.
So, we have this charming German tradition. But how did it hop across the English Channel and become a global phenomenon? Well, the answer lies with one very, very influential family.
The person who made it all happen was none other than the future Queen Victoria. When she was a little girl, her German-born mother brought the custom of egg hunts over to Kensington Palace. It became this beloved part of her royal childhood.
In fact, she loved it so much that she and Prince Albert carried on the tradition with their own 9 kids. This is an actual entry from her journal in 1848. She wrote, "The children hunted for Easter eggs, and they were in the greatest delight." And you know what happens next? When the public sees the royal family doing something, everybody wants to do it. The tradition just exploded across Britain.
So, with that royal seal of approval, the stage was set for the next massive transformation, from a simple family game into a huge commercial industry.
You can see just how fast things evolved here. First, people were just dyeing regular old eggs with things like onion skins. Then, by the 1850s, you start to see artificial eggs with little gifts inside. But the real game changer? 1873. That's when a company called Fry's created the first hollow chocolate Easter egg. And suddenly, the prize at the end of the hunt got a whole lot sweeter.
And this all happened at the absolute perfect time.
In the Victorian era, you had a growing middle class with more money to spend and a big cultural focus on family activities. Companies like Cadbury saw this and just jumped on it, marketing the chocolate egg hunt as the absolute perfect modern family tradition.
So, when you put it all together, from ancient pagan symbols and deep religious meaning to a German hare and a royal trend, the traditions we now call Easter are just this incredible mashup of history. And it really makes you wonder, if they've changed this much to get to where they are now, what on earth will Easter look like 100 years from today?